In the ancient kingdom of Ashanti, where the baobab trees whispered secrets older than time itself, there lived a people who believed that death was a mystery meant to remain hidden. The ancestors thought that knowing one's end would cause the living, turning joy into torment and hope into despair. But the gods, in their infinite wisdom, or perhaps their cruel curiosity, had other plans. This is the story of Kwame, the child who was born speaking. Not crying. Not wailing. Speaking. And what he spoke changed everything. It was the harvest season when the yam fields turned golden and the village of Adamoko prepared for celebrations. Oma, the wife of the village blacksmith Kofi, had been in labor for 2 days. The midwives worked tirelessly, burning sacred herbs and chanting prayers to Nyam, the sky god. When the child finally emerged under the light of a blood-red moon, silence fell over the hut. Midwife Esai, the eldest and most experienced, held the baby in trembling hands. He isn't crying. But the baby's eyes were open. Wide. Aware. Ancient. And then, in a voice that should not have belonged to an infant, a voice clear and haunting as morning bells, the child spoke his first words. Midwife Esai, daughter of Akojua, you will die on the 7th day of the 9th month, when the rains return. You will close your eyes in peace, surrounded by your children's children. Esai dropped the birthing cloth. Her hands shook violently. The other midwives stumbled backward, some falling to their knees, others making protective signs against evil spirits. Witchcraft. The child is cursed, shouted Abina, the youngest midwife, her voice cracking with terror. But before anyone could flee, the baby's eyes turned to his mother, who lay exhausted on the mat, blood still staining the cloth beneath her. Mother Oma, beloved of Kofi, you will leave this world on the day I turn 7 years old. The sickness will be swift. You will not suffer long. Oma's scream pierced the night. It was a sound of pure anguish, a mother's heart breaking in real time. The midwives fled the hut, their cries of demon child, abomination echoing through the village. Within minutes, the entire village knew. Doors slammed shut. Mothers pulled their children inside. Men grabbed their spears and machetes, forming a circle around the blacksmith's compound. Kofi stood outside his own home, paralyzed. His wife's screams continued inside. His newborn son, his first child, the son he had prayed for, had just pronounced a death sentence on the woman he loved more than life itself. Elder Ose, the village chief, arrived with his walking stick, his face grave. Kofi, bring the child out. We must decide what to do. No. Kofi's voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of iron. This is not a request, blacksmith. That thing in your house is not natural. It must be dealt with. That thing is my son. The crowd murmured. Some voices called for the child to be taken to the forest and left for the leopards. Others demanded he be drowned in the river. A few whispered that perhaps they should wait, see if the prophecy came true. Elder Kwaku, the wisest of the council, raised his hand for silence. We do not know what we are dealing with. The child spoke of Esai's death with specific details. Let us wait. If the 7th day of the 9th month comes and Esai lives, we will know the child is false. If she dies, then we will all know our doom is real, someone shouted from the crowd. The debate raged for hours. Finally, as dawn broke, Elder Ose made his decree. Kofi, you may keep your son. But you will take your family and build your home at the forest edge, far from this village. Your child's voice will not poison our hearts with knowledge we were never meant to possess. Go. You have 3 days. Kofi built a small compound where the forest met the grasslands, far enough that the village could not hear young Kwame's voice, yet close enough that Kofi could still trade his metalwork. It was a lonely existence. Oma tried to be a mother. She tried to nurse her baby, to sing him lullabies, to count his tiny fingers and toes. But every time she looked into his eyes, she saw a countdown. 7 years. Only 7 years. She began marking the walls with charcoal. 7 marks. Then she would cross one out each year. A calendar of her doom. Kwame grew at an alarming rate. By 6 months, he walked. By 1 year, he spoke in full sentences, normal sentences now, not prophecies. He played with wooden toys his father carved. He chased butterflies. He laughed when the monkeys stole mangoes from their tree. He seemed normal. Almost. But whenever strangers approached, the gift or curse would activate. One afternoon, a traveling merchant named Yo arrived, seeking to buy tools from Kofi's forge. He was a jolly man, round-bellied and loud, known throughout the region for his humor and fair prices. Blacksmith Kofi. I heard you make the finest machetes in Ashanti. I've come to, he stopped mid-sentence, noticing the small boy playing in the dirt. And who is this fine young man? 3-year-old Kwame looked up. His eyes suddenly went distant, unfocused, as if seeing through layers of reality invisible to others. Yo, son of Mensa, you will die tomorrow at sunset. The snake you step on by the river will strike twice. The venom will take you before the moon rises. Your wife Abina will weep for 40 days. The merchant's smile vanished. His face went pale as ash. The bag of gold coins he carried slipped from his fingers, scattering in the dust. You lie. You demon spawn. But his voice trembled. His hands shook. He stumbled backward, tripped, fell, scrambled to his feet, and ran, leaving his coins, his dignity, everything behind. Kofi emerged from his forge, covered in soot. Kwame, why must you speak these things? The boy looked genuinely confused. But father, I only speak what I see. The knowledge comes like breathing. I cannot stop it any more than I can stop my heart from beating. Should I not speak the truth? From inside the hut, Omo's voice drifted out, hollow and distant. 6 years, 3 months, and 14 days left. That night, Kofi held his wife as she wept. Perhaps, she whispered, perhaps if we keep Kwame away from everyone, if no one comes here, we can pretend to be normal. We can pretend I'm not dying. But the next morning, a hunter from a distant village arrived at their compound, breathless and terrified. The merchant Yo, they found him by the river at sunset. Snake bite. 2 puncture wounds on his ankle. He died exactly as the child said. The hunter fell to his knees. Please. I must know. When will I die? And that was when everything changed. At first, they came in ones and twos. Curious villagers willing to risk the knowledge. Then word spread across the kingdom like wildfire. There was a child who could see death, and he was never wrong. They came in dozens. Then hundreds. They came from neighboring villages, from distant kingdoms, from beyond the mountains where the sun sets. They came carrying gold, offering livestock, bringing precious gifts, all for one thing: to know. Kofi tried to turn them away, but they camped outside the compound, waiting for days, weeks, refusing to leave until the child spoke their fate. Some came seeking comfort. A mother named Akua arrived with a sick because you fell. That is not meaningless. That is everything. Young Kofi left that day with peace in his heart. He died 2 weeks later, but his family said he spent those final days happy, telling everyone he met about the blacksmith's wisdom. Word of this conversation spread. Soon, people came not just for prophecies, but for wisdom. Kwame found himself teaching, helping people understand not when they would die, but how to live before they did. A wealthy merchant came, devastated that Kwame had told him he would die in 15 years. 15 years, the merchant wailed. That's all I have. That's all any of us have, Kwame replied. The only difference is that you know your number. But tell me, if you didn't know, how would you live differently? I don't understand. Would you love your wife more? Spend more time with your children? Give more to the poor? Or would you just work harder to earn gold you can't take with you? The merchant stood stunned. I would change everything. Then change it now. You have 15 years. That's 5,475 days. Most people waste that many days waiting for someday to start living. You don't have to wait. Start today. The merchant left transformed. He sold half his business, gave the money to the poor, and spent the next 15 years becoming the most generous, loving man in his village. When he died exactly when Kwame had predicted, thousands attended his funeral to celebrate a life well lived. When Kwame turned 16, everything changed again. A young woman came to his forge to commission a set of farming tools. Her name was Efi, and she had the most unusual quality: she wasn't afraid of him. Everyone who met Kwame carried a tension in their shoulders, a weariness in their eyes. They feared what he might say, what knowledge he might unleash. But Efi treated him like any other blacksmith. I need 3 hoes, 2 machetes, and a set of cooking blades, she said, examining his work with a critical eye. Can you have them ready by next moon? Kwame found himself staring. She was beautiful, yes, but it was her casualness that stunned him. You're not going to ask? Ask what? When you die. Efi laughed, they sound like bells. Why would I ask that? Will it change anything? Will I die later if I know? Will I die sooner if I don't? No, Kwame admitted. Then what use is knowing? I plan to live well whether I have 1 year or 100. Now, about those tools, can you make them or not? For the first time in his life, Kwame found himself speechless. He managed to nod. Efi came back every week after that, always with some excuse. Her tools needed sharpening. She wanted to commission a gift for her father. She needed advice on tool maintenance. Kwame saw through every excuse, and his heart soared each time. They talked about everything except death. She told him about her farm, about her dreams of expanding it. He told her about his mother, about the weight of his gift. She listened without judgment, without fear. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in colors of fire, Efi finally asked the question. Kwame, tell me true. Have you seen my death? His heart sank. Yes. From the moment we met, I saw it. I always see it. And he hesitated. Are you sure you want to know? I asked, didn't I? He took a deep breath. You will die at the age of 68. We will have been married for 52 years. We will have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. You will die in your sleep, in our bed, with me holding your hand. Our grandchildren will be in the next room, laughing. You will hear their laughter as you go, and you will smile. Efi was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. Married for 52 years, you said? Yes, Kwame stopped. Wait. Does that mean? It means, Efi said, taking his hand, that you just proposed to me in the most roundabout way possible. And I accept. But you're going to have to ask properly, with witnesses and everything. I won't have people saying the fortune teller tricked me into marriage. Kwame laughed, truly laughed, for the first time since his mother died. I love you, Efi. I know, she said. You told me I'd be married to you for 52 years. Kind of gave away your feelings. They married 3 months later. The wedding was small but joyful. Kofi, now gray-haired and stooped, cried tears of happiness. Even some of the villagers who had once called for baby Kwame's death came to celebrate. On their wedding night, AFI turned to her new husband. Promise me something. Anything. Never tell me the details. I know when I die, and that's enough. But don't tell me about our children's lives unless they ask. Don't tell me when our grandchildren will die. Let some things be surprises. Let some of life remain a mystery. Kwame pulled her close. I promise. And he kept that promise. For 52 years. 23 years after young Kwame had first met King Ose Tutu, messengers arrived at his forge with urgent news. The war with the Denkara has begun. The king requests your presence immediately. Kwame, now a grown man with a wife and 3 children, made the journey to the capital. The kingdom was preparing for battle. Soldiers drilled in the courtyards. Weapons were being forged by the hundreds. The air crackled with tension. King Ose Tutu, now aged but still powerful, greeted Kwame warmly. The child who spoke my death has become a man, the king said with a sad smile. You told me I had 23 years. By my count, today marks exactly 23 years since that day. Yes, your majesty. And the battle. Today. Today at sunset. You will lead the charge against the Denkara forces at the river Piare. A musket ball will strike you in the chest. You will fall with your sword raised, your war cry on your lips. The king nodded slowly. I have prepared for this day. My son is ready to rule. The kingdom is strong. My affairs are in order. He paused. Tell me, Kwame, have I been a good king? You have been the greatest king Ashanti has ever known. Your name will be remembered for 1,000 years. Songs will be sung about you. Children not yet born will learn your story. The king's eyes glistened. Then I am ready. He placed a hand on Kwame's shoulder. Thank you, young prophet. You gave me something few men ever receive, the chance to prepare, to finish my work, to face death without regret. That was a gift. The battle came at sunset, just as Kwame had foretold. King Ose Tutu led his warriors across the river Piare, his golden armor blazing in the dying light. The Denkara forces were waiting. The battle was fierce and bloody. Kwame watched from a distance, as the king had commanded. You must survive to serve my son, he had said. And then, in the chaos of clashing swords and thundering guns, Kwame saw it happen. The king, at the front of his forces, raised his sword high. His war cry echoed across the battlefield, for Ashanti. For our children. For. The musket ball struck true. The great king fell, his sword still raised, his cry unfinished. But his warriors, seeing their king fall, did not retreat. Instead, they surged forward with renewed fury, inspired by his sacrifice. By nightfall, the Denkara forces were broken. The battle was won. The new king, Ose Tutu Sonopoku, was crowned within a week. One of his first acts was to summon Kwame. My father told me you gave him 23 years of certainty. That he ruled better, loved deeper, and prepared more carefully because he knew his time. I want to ask you something. Kwame bowed. Anything, your majesty. Don't tell me when I die. My father's way worked for him, but I choose a different path. I will live each day as if it could be my last, but I will plan as if I have forever. That is my choice. Kwame smiled. That is wise, your majesty. Wiser perhaps than knowing. Over the years, Kwame's reputation grew. People came from across the known world to seek his counsel. But he had learned to be selective, to understand that not all knowledge should be shared. One day, a desperate father arrived carrying his 10-year-old daughter. Please, the man begged. My daughter has been sick for months. The healers say they don't know what's wrong. I must know, will she survive? Kwame looked at the child and saw her death clearly. It would come in 3 days. The illness was incurable. For the first time in his life, Kwame made a choice that went against his nature. He lied. "I cannot see your daughter's fate," he said quietly. "Sometimes, for reasons known only to the gods, some futures are hidden from me. I am sorry." The father left disappointed but not without hope. 3 days later, the child died peacefully in her sleep. But the father, in those final 3 days, had held her, played with her, told her stories. He had not spent that time in anguish and dread. He had spent it in love. When the father returned weeks later to thank Kwame for the tools he had purchased, he said, "I'm grateful you couldn't see her fate. Those last days were precious. If I had known, I would have spent them crying instead of laughing with her." Kwame realized then that sometimes the kindest gift was silence. But not everyone appreciated this new discretion. A wealthy chief named Nana Kwame arrived, furious. "You told my brother when he would die, but you refused to tell me. What makes him more worthy of your prophecy? Your brother asked because he was dying of disease and needed to settle his affairs. You ask out of curiosity and pride. These are not the same. I paid good gold. Then take your gold back. I am not a market trader selling knowledge like yams. I am a man with a gift, or curse, and I choose when to use it." The chief left in rage, spreading rumors that Kwame was a fraud, that he had lost his powers. Kwame let the rumor spread. He found that fewer visitors meant more time with his family, and that suited him fine. His 3 children grew up knowing their father was different. His daughter Oma, named for his mother, asked him one day, "Father, have you seen when I die?" "Yes." "Will you tell me? Do you truly want to know?" She thought about it for a long time. "No. I think I want to be surprised. I want to live without counting days." Kwame hugged her tightly. "That is the wisest thing I've heard in years." His sons made the same choice. And Kwame was grateful. He had seen too many people poisoned by knowledge they weren't ready to carry. When Kwame was 43 years old, something impossible happened. A young girl, no more than 8 years old, arrived at his forge accompanied by her terrified parents. "Master Kwame," the father said, trembling, "our daughter, she's like you. She was born speaking. She tells people when they'll die. We don't know what to do. We thought maybe you could help her." Kwame's heart nearly stopped. In all his years, he had never met another person with his gift. He had believed he was alone. The girl, whose name was Adua, looked up at him with ancient eyes he recognized all too well. "Kwame, son of Kofi, you will die at the age of 68. Your wife will die the same year, 2 months before you. You will die in your sleep, holding her memory, with your grandchildren in the next room." Kwame knelt down to her level. "Hello, little sister. I know how heavy it is, the thing you carry." Adua burst into tears, a child's tears, finally meeting someone who understood. "Everyone is afraid of me. The other children won't play with me. My own mother flinches when I look at her. I don't want this gift. I don't want to see death everywhere." Kwame gathered her into his arms. I know. But listen to me carefully. This gift is also a burden, but it can be borne. And you don't have to bear it alone anymore. I will teach you." Over the following months, Adua became Kwame's student. He taught her everything he had learned in 4 decades of carrying the gift. "You must learn when to speak and when to stay silent," he instructed. "Not everyone needs to know. Some knowledge causes more harm than good." "But isn't lying wrong?" Adua asked. "There's a difference between lying and choosing silence. You don't owe everyone your sight. Your gift is yours to share or withhold." He taught her how to live with the weight of knowing thousands of deaths. How to grieve for strangers. How to find joy despite seeing endings everywhere. "How do you do it?" she asked one day. "How do you laugh and love when you see death in everyone you meet?" Kwame smiled. "Because I also see life. Yes, I see when my wife will die. But I also see every beautiful day between now and then. I see my grandchildren being born. I see moments of joy and laughter. Death is the ending, but it's not the whole story. He taught her the most important lesson of all: your gift shows you when the story ends. But it doesn't show you how it's written. That part, the living, the choosing, the loving, that's still up to each person. Never forget that. Adua stayed with them for 2 years, learning, growing stronger. When she finally returned to her village, she was different. Still carrying the gift, but no longer crushed by it. Years later, Kwame heard that she had become a great counselor, helping people prepare for death with dignity, teaching them to live fully in their remaining time. She had found purpose in the burden. Kwame grew old gracefully. His hair turned white. His hands, though still strong from working the forge, began to show the marks of age. But his eyes remained sharp, still seeing what others could not. AFI grew old beside him. They had indeed had 3 children, and those children had given them 9 grandchildren. The house that had once been a place of exile had become a place of joy and laughter. In their 67th year together, AFI fell ill. It was not the illness that would kill her, that was still 2 months away, but it weakened her. One evening, as they sat watching the sunset, something they had done together for 52 years, AFI turned to her husband. "You know, I've never regretted my choice not to ask about the details. But now, with time growing short, I find myself curious. What happens in the next few months? How do we say goodbye?" Kwame took her hand. "Are you sure you want to know?" "I'm sure. You will grow weaker, but not painfully so. Our children will come home to visit. Our grandchildren will fill the house with noise and joy. You will tell them all the stories one last time, the ones about your childhood, about our courtship, about the day each of them was born." He paused, his voice thick with emotion. "One morning, you will wake up and tell me you're tired. I will hold you, and you will fall asleep in my arms. And you won't wake up. It will be gentle, peaceful, surrounded by love." AFI smiled through her tears. "And you?" 2 months later. "I will have prepared everything. Said my goodbyes. Taught our grandson the forge. And one night, I will lie down in our bed, close my eyes, and follow you to the ancestors. Our daughter Oma will find me the next morning, and she will know I went peacefully." "Good," AFI whispered. "That's good. We get to finish our story together, even if not at the exact same moment." "Yes. Together, even in living." Everything happened exactly as Kwame had foreseen. AFI died on a Tuesday morning, the house full of family, stories still echoing in the walls. Kwame held her as she took her last breath, and he whispered, "I'll see you soon, my love." The 2 months that followed were the longest of Kwame's life. But he used them well. He taught his grandson Kofi Jr. everything about the forge. He settled his affairs. He told his children and grandchildren how much he loved them. And he went to visit young Adwa, now a woman of 40 with students of her own. "I'm leaving soon," he told her. 2 weeks, by my count." "I know," she said softly. "I've seen it too." "Then you know what comes next. You'll be the elder now. The one others with the gift will seek out. Are you ready?" "Because of you, yes. You taught me that this gift doesn't have to be a curse. It can be a tool for compassion, for helping people live better, not just Dainoi." Kwame smiled. "Then my work is done." On his final night, Kwame gathered his family around him. His 3 children, now middle-aged. His 9 grandchildren, ranging from teenagers to toddlers. He looked at each face, memorizing them one last time. "I want you all to know something," he said. "I have lived a strange life. I was born with a gift that terrified people, that isolated my family, that made me see death everywhere I looked." He paused, looking at his daughter Oma. "But I would not change a single moment. Because this gift taught me the most important lesson: life is precious exactly because it ends. Love matters exactly because it's temporary. Every moment is sacred exactly because there are only so many." His youngest grandson, only 5 years old, asked, "Grandfather, are you afraid to die?" Kwame smiled. No, little one. I'm not afraid. I've known this day was coming for 68 years. I've prepared. I've loved. I've lived fully. And soon, I'll see your grandmother again. How could I be afraid of that? That night, Kwame lay down in the bed he had shared with A5 for 52 years. The house was quiet, but he could hear his grandchildren's soft breathing in the next room, exactly as he had foreseen. He closed his eyes and smiled. His last thought was not of death, but of his mother's face. Of A5's laugh. Of his children's first steps. Of every sunset he'd watched, every piece of iron he'd forged, every person he'd helped prepare for their own ending. He had been born speaking death. But he had lived speaking life. And that made all the difference. The morning after Kwame's death, his daughter Oma found him exactly as he had predicted, peaceful, a slight smile on his face, as if he had died mid-dream of something beautiful. The funeral was the largest the kingdom had ever seen. Thousands came to pay respects. The king himself attended, along with nobles from every corner of the land. But the most touching moment came when young Adwa stood to speak. I was afraid of my gift until I met Kwame, she said, her voice carrying across the gathering. He taught me that seeing death doesn't mean you have to fear life. He taught me that knowledge of endings can make us cherish beginnings. He taught me that even a curse can become a blessing if you choose to use it with wisdom and love. She turned to address the crowd. Kwame spent his life telling people when they would die. But his real gift was teaching them how to live. He taught us that we don't need to know our death date to live with purpose. We just need to remember that our time is limited, all of us, whether we know the date or not. After the funeral, Kwame's children discovered something in his forge. A metal box, sealed and marked with their names. Inside were letters, one for each child, each grandchild, and even several for great-grandchildren not yet born. Daughter Oma opened hers with trembling hands. My beloved Oma, named for my mother who taught me that knowing your end is not a curse if you choose to see the gift. You will face many hard choices in your life. You will wonder if you made the right decisions. Let me tell you now, you will. You will be a healer like your grandmother. You will save lives. You will be loved. And when your time comes, which is many, many years from now, you will leave this world knowing you made it better. That is all anyone can ask. Live fully. Love deeply. Fear nothing. Your Father, who loved you before you were born and will love you beyond death. Each letter was different, personal, filled with encouragement and prophecies of joy to come. Kwame had seen their futures and chose to share only the hope, only the light. His grandson Kofi Jr. took over the forge. He never developed the gift of prophecy, but he carried on his grandfather's teaching in a different way. Above the forge entrance, he carved words that Kwame had often spoken. We are all dying. Some know the date. Most don't. But we are all equally alive until we're not. So live. The story of Kwame, the child who spoke dead dates, teaches us many profound lessons. First, knowledge is not the same as wisdom. Knowing when you will die doesn't tell you how to live. The people who came to Kwame seeking their death dates often left more burdened than before. But those who asked him how to live their remaining time, whether long or short, left transformed. Second, every ending makes the beginning more precious. We often take life for granted because we think we have forever. But we don't. None of us do. Kwame's mother, Oma, had only 7 years once she learned her fate. But she made those 7 years more meaningful than many people make 70, because she knew time was precious. Third, sometimes the kindest gift is uncertainty. Kwame learned that not everyone needs to know their fate. Some people are strengthened by knowledge, others are crushed by it. Wisdom is knowing which is which. Fourth, how we face our ending reveals how we've lived. King Ose Tutu faced his prophesied death with courage because he had spent 23 years preparing. He used his knowledge to become a better king, to love more deeply, to finish his work. The merchant who learned he had 15 years transformed his life. But others, like Nana Ofosu, were destroyed by the knowledge because they had lived only for glory and pride. Fifth, love transcends death. Kwame's deepest prophecies were not about when people would die, but about how they would be remembered. The old man who learned his yam technique would save thousands. AFI who learned she would die surrounded by love and laughter. These prophecies gave meaning beyond the ending. Finally, and most importantly, we are all living with a death sentence. Every single one of us will die. We don't need a prophetic child to tell us this truth. The only question is, will we wait until we know our date to start living fully? Or will we choose, right now, today, to love harder, laugh more, forgive sooner, and make our limited days count? Kwame was born with the gift of seeing death. But his real legacy was teaching people to see life. You don't need to know when your story ends to make it beautiful. You just need to start writing it, with courage, with love, with purpose, today. Because whether you have 1 year or 100, the answer is the same: live like it matters, because it does.